On January 21, 2026, a major event took place. For many weeks before this day, there were serious problems around the world. President Donald Trump made terrifying threats. These actions pushed NATO, a group of powerful allied countries, to the very edge of breaking apart. At the same time, global markets, where countries trade money and goods, went into a fast and deep fall. It felt like a war could begin between nations that were supposed to be allies. The entire world was filled with fear and uncertainty. Then, President Trump suddenly made an announcement from Davos, Switzerland. He declared that a framework deal had been reached. He did not give many details about what this deal was or what it truly meant. This surprising news came after a period of intense trouble. People everywhere had been waiting, very worried. They saw the recent chaos quickly turn into an unbelievable calm. This sudden quiet was hard for many to understand. Was this a real peace agreement? Or was it simply a temporary pause in a very dangerous game? No one could say for certain. The previous weeks of threats had pushed the strong NATO alliance close to collapse. They had caused widespread fear among many people. This story will explain everything that led to that moment. It will show the full picture of a crisis that nearly caused a war between countries that were once firm friends. How did the world get here? What exactly happened during those critical 2 weeks that brought everyone so dangerously close to a disaster? We will uncover the answers. 2. A big problem starts. President Donald Trump first talked about buying Greenland in 2019. He called it a real estate deal. At that time, Denmark's prime minister said the idea was absurd. For a while, the talk stopped. But when President Trump returned to office in January 2025, his interest in Greenland grew stronger. The problem quickly became much bigger in early January 2026. On January 3rd, the United States military acted in Venezuela. They captured President Nicolas Maduro. This action drew strong criticism from many nations, but it made President Trump feel even more confident. He then looked at Greenland again. One day later, on January 4, President Trump spoke from his plane. He told reporters that America needed Greenland for its safety. He said the U.S. might use military force or economic pressure to get it. This was a clear warning. After this, people from the White House spoke loudly. Stephen Miller, a top aide, said the United States had the right to take Greenland. His wife, Katie Miller, put a picture on social media. It showed Greenland with an American flag on it and the word soon. Many people did not like this post. President Trump kept saying he wanted complete control of Greenland, believing it was vital for the United States. The tension grew more. On January 9th, President Trump met with leaders from big oil companies at the White House. He told them the U.S. would take action about Greenland, whether they liked it or not. He warned that if an easy way did not work, they would use a hard way. This strong talk alarmed leaders in Europe. They began to hold urgent meetings. Then, on January 18th, President Trump made his biggest and most dangerous move. He announced new taxes, called tariffs, against 8 European countries. These countries were Denmark, Finland, France, Germany, Norway, Sweden, the Netherlands, and the United Kingdom. These tariffs would start at 10% in February and go up to 25% by June. This would happen unless Denmark agreed to give Greenland to the United States. President Trump said these European countries were sending soldiers to Greenland for unknown, secret reasons. He claimed this was creating a dangerous situation for global safety. Now it looked like a war was very close. 3. Why Trump wants Greenland. President Donald Trump offered 3 main reasons for wanting Greenland. He spoke first about the need for national security. He claimed that both Russia and China wanted Greenland for themselves. He believed that Denmark, being a smaller nation, could not properly defend the large island from these powerful countries. For Trump, American control was necessary to keep the Arctic region safe and to stop other nations from expanding their influence there. He often stated that for the safety of the entire planet, the United States needed to own Greenland. Second, Trump highlighted Greenland's rich natural resources. The island holds many valuable minerals under its vast ice and land, known as rare earth elements. These minerals are very important for making advanced technologies, such as mobile phones, electric vehicles, and powerful military weapons. Today, China controls most of the world's rare earth mining and processing. President Trump wanted America to gain control of these key resources directly. He saw this as a way to secure important materials for American businesses and its military, making the United States less dependent on other countries for these strategic items. Third, and perhaps most importantly for Trump, he introduced a big plan called the Golden Dome. This was a proposed new missile defense system. It would be a complex, multi-layered system designed to stop very fast missiles, like hypersonic and ballistic missiles, from reaching America. The Golden Dome was a massive project, expected to cost hundreds of billions of dollars over 20 years. Trump stated that full ownership of Greenland was vital for building and operating this ambitious system. He argued that Greenland's unique location and geography were essential for the Golden Dome to work effectively and protect the nation. However, many defense experts did not fully agree with this claim. They pointed out that the United States already uses Pituffik Space Base in Greenland through a long-standing agreement with Denmark. These experts questioned if America truly needed to own Greenland to expand its missile defense efforts there. They suggested that existing diplomatic agreements could allow for any necessary military expansion without a change in ownership. This made some people wonder why President Trump was so strongly focused on owning Greenland. What was the real reason behind his dangerous obsession, if his public explanations were not fully supported by experts? 4. The people are afraid. The crisis was not just about politics or land. It was about the 57,000 people who called Greenland home. For them, President Donald Trump's words were not far-off news. They became a real and frightening part of daily life. People showed their feelings clearly. Many thousands marched in Nuuk, the capital city, on January 17th. This was the biggest protest ever in Greenland. People held red and white Greenlandic flags. They walked to the American consulate. Signs said, "Greenland is not for sale," and "no" means no. 85% of Greenlanders did not want to join America. People felt fear and confusion. Naya Nathanelson, Greenland's Minister for Business and Mineral Resources, spoke about it. She told reporters that people were worried, afraid, and bewildered. They felt like property, like a product or property that could be bought. The idea of an invasion was devastating. The government also took action. It made a crisis handbook. This book told people to get ready for 5 days. They should have enough food, water, and fuel at home. Many citizens followed this advice. Tony Jacobson, a man shopping in Nuuk, showed what he bought. He had candles,
snacks, and toilet paper. He said it was better to be ready than not ready. Even if he thought Trump's threats might not happen, he wanted to be safe. The fear grew stronger. Some people made serious preparations. Tilly Martinison, a past member of Greenland's parliament, shared this. She said that hunters were getting their rifles ready. They planned to defend against potential invaders. She was very angry. Trump called Greenland just a block of ice, but Tilly said Greenlanders are human beings with elderly people and children who were afraid. The United States was once a friend. Now it was seen as a possible invader. It could never be trusted again. This crisis was no longer just about politics. It was about to become very personal and violent for the people of Greenland. 5. Europe says no. European nations were very clear. They would not accept President Trump's plans for Greenland. French President Emmanuel Macron said Trump's threats were fundamentally unacceptable. He warned that Europe would act together.
British Prime Minister Keir Starmer called the tariff move completely wrong. He promised that Britain would not change its mind because of threats. Soon, 8 European nations made a joint statement. These nations included Denmark, Finland, France, Germany, the Netherlands, Norway, Sweden, and the United Kingdom. They said they respected Greenland's right to choose its own future. They also offered to talk about security in a peaceful way. Europe then showed it was ready to do more than just talk. Germany, France, Sweden, and Norway sent small groups of soldiers to Greenland. These soldiers were there for training. This was a clear message. It showed that Europe stood with Denmark and Greenland. It proved that Europe would help defend the island. Denmark also took strong action. Its government said it would spend over $13 billion to make its defense in the Arctic stronger. This included money for new ships, drones, and better airports. Denmark sent 200 more soldiers to Greenland. Danish military leaders stated they were ready to defend Greenland. They said that any attempt to take Greenland by force would be a crime. Denmark and its allies would have the right to arrest anyone involved. The European Union also acted. It stopped a big trade deal that President Trump had made the previous summer. European leaders planned a meeting to decide on more actions. They spoke about using new economic tools. These tools could stop American businesses from selling things in Europe or getting public contracts. Europe was ready to use its economic power. With European soldiers now on Greenland and strong economic threats in place, the world watched. 2 important parts of the NATO alliance, America and Europe, seemed ready for a big fight. 6. The meeting in Davos. Davos, Switzerland was cold, and the mood inside the World Economic Forum was tense. Many world leaders and business people were there. Everyone wondered what President Donald Trump would do about Greenland. The air was thick with worry after weeks of serious threats. President Trump arrived, drawing much attention. Later, he gave a speech. He made a very surprising statement. He told everyone, "I won't use force." This was a big change from his earlier words. He promised not to send soldiers to Greenland. This brought some relief, but people still felt unsure about his true intentions. During his speech, President Trump made a strange mistake. He called Greenland Iceland 4 times. This caused whispers and made his speech seem even more unusual. People wondered if he was confused or simply careless about the place. The most important event happened later. President Trump met privately with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte. This meeting was secret. They talked behind closed doors, with no one else present. What they discussed, nobody knew for sure. It was a big mystery. The world waited to hear what was said in that private room. Had they found a way to agree? Hours after this secret meeting, President Trump posted a message on Truth Social. He announced a framework of a future deal for Greenland and the Arctic. He also said that the new tariffs against the 8 European nations would not start. The economic conflict was suddenly called off. This news surprised everyone. Just days before, a big trade war and possible military action seemed very close. Now there was a deal. But what did President Trump and Secretary General Rutte agree to that stopped the crisis so quickly? No one had clear answers yet. The future remained very much unclear. The deal is not clear. The President, Donald Trump, announced a new deal for Greenland. He called it a framework and a concept of a deal, also saying it was the ultimate long-term deal. These words were very unclear, and no one understood their meaning. President Trump shared few details. When reporters asked if the United States would now own Greenland, he did not answer directly, saying it was complex and he did not want to say yet. President Trump hinted the deal might include special rights for American companies to get minerals in Greenland. He also spoke about cooperation for his Golden Dome missile defense project. He claimed the United States got everything we wanted. His statements were often contradictory. The NATO group also stated the framework would help keep the Arctic safe and stop China and Russia from gaining power, but without specifics. One news report suggested the U.S. might get sovereignty over small land pockets, but no official confirmed this, adding to the confusion. Many defense experts did not agree with President Trump about his Golden Dome project. This was a very ambitious and expensive missile defense system planned to cost hundreds of billions of dollars. Experts like Todd Harrison said President Trump's claim that the U.S. needed to own Greenland for this system was not true. The United States already has Patuxent Space Base in Greenland, used under agreements from the 1950s. Experts said the U.S. could expand missile defense systems without buying the country. Building the Golden Dome was technically difficult and incredibly expensive. It might not even make the world safer, some argued. This suggested President Trump's reason for the Golden Dome was likely just an excuse. It was a way to frame his territorial goals in security terms. So the vague deal might actually be about giving American companies access to Greenland's valuable rare earth minerals, or it could involve leasing small parts of land for military use. No one knew for sure what the deal actually was. The Danish foreign minister said the problem had not gone away. President Trump's desire for Greenland was still strong. This framework deal stopped the immediate crisis and the threat of tariffs. But because it was unclear and left many questions unanswered, it felt like a fragile peace. With the main issues unresolved, people wondered how long this temporary calm could last before new threats began again. What it all means. This crisis showed big problems for the world and its main alliances. President Donald Trump's actions made many people question NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. NATO is a very important promise where member countries help each other if one is attacked. But when America threatened Denmark, a NATO friend, trust between them became very weak. Many European countries felt the United States could not be fully trusted. This hurt the strong friendship built over 75 years. The crisis taught some important lessons for everyone. It showed that even a very powerful country has limits to what it can do. Not even the United States could simply take Greenland because other countries and the people of Greenland stood firm and said no. Alliances like NATO showed they were strong and could work together.
They stood together against the threats. Also, what ordinary people thought and said mattered a lot. The people of Greenland bravely showed they wanted their home to stay free, and their voices helped stop the crisis. So the immediate problem ended with a vague deal in Davos. But this deal was not clear, and nobody truly knew what its full meaning was. This made the peace feel very unsure, like it could break at any time. The crisis changed things in the Arctic region forever. People in Greenland now live with a feeling of fear and worry. They wonder if America will try to take their land again in the future. In Europe, there is still a strong feeling of mistrust towards the United States leadership. The world now asks a big question. Was this a rare, strange event that will not happen again? Or is this the new way America will act with other countries? It caused deep damage to international relations. The established rules of how countries should act with each other were severely tested. The very idea of peace and respect between friends and allies was challenged in a dangerous way. The future of global politics and diplomacy looks different now, more uncertain and possibly more dangerous. Considering everything that happened, what do you think is the biggest lesson we should learn about how countries should treat each other to avoid such dangers in the future?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world.